Welcome, welcome, welcome!
You guys ready to party?
I said, are you ready to party?
I need to know if I can start the party.
You know what? Start the party.
Did Michael give you permission to do this?
Start the party.
All right, man.
All right.
How do you want to start this?
I was thinking of starting it with "What's
Okay.
which leads us into the first episode.
What a perfect segue. All right, man.
Yeah.
So, the first episode of The Office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched it today because I didn't have any other time to watch it until now. But I don't know. I realized that like the first episode is really just like a Michael character building episode.
It is, yeah.
Because like they don't really do much with the rest of the characters.
Yeah, there's barely any dialogue. It's really just Michael like performing for the camera crew, which is funny because I did a lot of research, or at least more research into like Greg Daniels, and there's kind of a funny like interview with him where he's talking about like how like Michael's thought process with having the documentary crew coming, and he was like, Michael is just hoping that like Jennifer Aniston is gonna see this, and so that's why he's like totally like pulling out all the stops. That just gave me like a lot of insight. I was like, that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I can see Michael thinking that way, just like, this is gonna make me famous, and Jennifer Aniston is gonna see this.
That's funny how he never mentions that ever, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just like how Greg Daniels approached sort of
Okay.
like the writing for it.
Okay.
And like getting into like Michael's headspace, I guess.
All right.
Which was interesting,
Yeah.
I thought.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know, because the only time they ever like do any other character building is just like little clips between his dialogue. Because like you have like moments like showing like Kevin with the pretzel.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Just him eating like this giant cinnamon roll. Just like
And you know, just like the little like Jim and Dwight moments and Jim and Pam. And I don't know, like it's funny because there's a lot of like other background people, but it's pretty clear that they like casted the people and showed the people who were actually going to be
right.
the Office cast in the later seasons. But yeah, it's just weird to like see all these extras that are basically there for no reason, because they never even have like any bit of dialogue except for in a later episode with him firing, is it Tom
Or Devin.
Devin?
Might be
That's
Devin.
it.
Yeah.
It's Devin. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird because it almost seems like they just put him in there to make it feel more like an office. I guess. It's mostly just like body space. But yeah, and it's also weird like when Michael's having his meeting, and just to see like who are these people? Like these random people in here.
Yeah. Like the entire office is just like filled, and it's like it's a really like, I don't know, I feel like the room got bigger because it is a set, right, that they are filming on.
I don't know. I think it's actually a building.
Is it?
I want to say it is.
Okay. It just feels like the conference room was super small in the first one. I don't know.
Oh,
like,
I didn't notice that.
Well, because they have like a set of chairs in the center and then they line around the corner of it, and like everyone just feels like super tight.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Into it, and it just feels like there isn't enough space, but I don't know if they just got around that with like different camera angles. I don't know. But it's also funny. Yeah, it's also funny because you can see like a very telling light source behind the camera in the conference room.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't know. That's probably just my filmmaker mind, but it's clearly just like a very cheap like LED light that's just like shining on Oscar's face like super brightly, and it's just like, you know, like obviously the budget wasn't
right
what it is at like the later seasons in The Office, so it's just funny to see like clearly the camera is just in this little corner in the corner of the conference room, and then there's an LED light, and that's pretty much like all they have. But yeah. Yeah, like all the, I don't know, I feel like we have to go over like all the Michael moments and just like how they set up his character just from like the beginning. Like they set up everyone's character pretty clearly in the beginning.
True. You kind of get a glimpse of like who this character's going to be throughout the show.
Yeah.
But definitely Michael. There's like so many Michael moments in this episode.
Yeah. I wrote like a little list of just like, you know, obviously there's like the classic mug that he buys for himself.
Yeah, from Spencer Gifts.
Yeah, from Spencer Gifts. And then, you know, like the fax he gets from corporate.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even like.
Yeah. For me, my notes, I was just like, that just like sums up his character for me. Just like that interaction, like his interaction with Pam and like his thinking he's really funny. Mm-hmm. But it's like, he has like this position where it's like he's the boss, but he still acts like he's kind of like a mid-level employee. Yeah. Which even though he is, but.
Yeah, he is.
At least among his employees at the Scranton branch. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just a really weird power dynamic. Yeah. And so they don't know how to act with him like playing jokes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like I don't know. There's so many things to go over with like how he does everything in the first episode. Just because like pretty much every time he's on screen, it's like clearly showing this like power dynamic that he has where he wants to be everyone's friends, but he clearly has like, he doesn't have the right social cues. Yeah. Like especially with the what's up part, and he just keeps saying it, and then he waits for them to like start a conversation with him. Yeah. But he doesn't have the gall to like actually like get to know these people on like a deeper level.
That's true.
Like he's just like, did you say something? Like no. And he's like, okay, back to work. I'll see you later.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. It's like he kind of uses these little like jokes that he comes up with to like maybe it'll spark a lifelong friendship with an employee. I just kind of feel like there had to be like someone at his high school that like acted like sort of like that, and like Michael aspired to be him because he had all these friends. Yeah. And now he's finally in a position where he can like tell those kind of jokes, and people sort of have to like pity laugh. Yeah. But they still don't want to be his friends and not being like himself. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I think it very much sums up how he's just like, I'm a friend first, a boss second, and I think I'm an entertainer third. Yeah. Where he's just like, he knows his goals, and yet he doesn't let anyone else like, I don't know, he just doesn't let anyone else into like who he actually is, because he clearly has like a groundbreaking personality underneath all of his terribleness.
It's true though.
Yeah, because like obviously in later seasons it's like, you know, he finds a girl that like meets his kind of comedy level, and you know he has like a heart.
Right. And that's like, he's such a complex character because like on his face you would just think like he's just kind of like this annoying boss. Yeah. Like get him out of the room, no one wants to deal with him. Yeah. But really he has like a deeper character. I mean, he has a heart, and like you want to like him. Yeah. But it's just like, dude, you need to realize that you're being like this person that no one likes. Yeah. And if you just choose not to be that, then probably someone would like you.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, especially like when Ryan comes in for his, like when he first comes in, and then Michael does like the Hitler impression. It's just like, of all of the places you could go with that, it's just not, it's not good.
That one made me laugh so hard that time I watched. I was like, oh my gosh, like of course he'd be like, I know Hitler is gonna be funny. Yeah. And that's like he thinks he's a comedian, and he has like he has like a great respect for like comedy. Yeah. And he like so wants to be a comedian, but it's just he doesn't know like the right time and right place. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into like Ryan's character as well, because I feel like he starts out as kind of like an Andy character where he kind of mirrors the personality traits of the people around him, so that he can fit in at the office. Because like we learn in later episodes how he doesn't want to like be a certain person at the office, so like mirroring people is the best way to do that. But I think it's like, I don't know, obviously Ryan has more of like, I don't know, just like knowledge to when to step out of not mirroring someone, right? Because like obviously like at the later part of that episode, when he's pranking Pam, he's like, no, I'm not gonna like go on with this.
Yeah.
But I think it's super telling, like when Jim puts Dwight's stapler in Jell-O, when Ryan just starts cracking jokes.
Yeah, that's
of
true.
like, but you should put him in custody.
Yeah.
And that clearly isn't something that Ryan would do.
Yeah, that's true, because
Yeah.
he doesn't really do that later with his character.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. He's just trying to figure out like
Yeah.
where he's gonna fit in this place.
Yeah.
And he probably at first thinks Michael is like, maybe he might think he's kind of a cool boss.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, that scene with Pam, he's like, okay, wait a second.
Yeah,
This
like
is not-
his turnaround is super quick. It's
Yeah.
not like Andy's at all, because I don't think Andy like ever gets out of that. But it is interesting. Like I feel like everyone pretty much does it when they go into a new office, but I don't know. Just like it's very telling with Ryan's character how he probably would have turned into an Andy character if Michael wasn't who he is.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably would have become like the second-hand man, you
Yeah.
know? Which would have been actually kind of funny.
Yeah, that would have been fun to like look at because Michael's so in love with him. Just like
Yeah, I love how you can just see like the bromance sparks flying.
Yeah.
It's like Michael's crush is taking off.
yeah, because it's not like it is kind of telling in the first episode, but I feel like, you know, as it progresses, like he's definitely bisexual for Ryan.
Yeah, totally.
he doesn't think he is, but you know, he totally
He has
is.
feelings for Ryan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Should we talk about like, I don't know. Should we just go over like all of the character developments in this one?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think like I forgot about one of like the first opening scenes with Dwight where he opens his drawer and he pulls out the head part to his phone and then plugs it in as if like he just got to work, and he locks up his phone
Oh yeah.
receiver
Oh,
every
yeah.
night.
That's right.
It's when he's doing the
Yes. That's the other thing that I always want to point out is that he's singing Little Drummer Boy, which
Yeah.
is just like becomes like a continuing joke.
yeah,
It's awesome.
between him and Angela.
And I
Yeah,
love like his heavy metal version of it.
yeah, because that's so Dwight. But yeah, I just found that like super interesting because it's such a like it's just such an interesting way to introduce his character,
That's
but
true.
it's so him where
Yeah.
you put the pieces together that like he locks away
Yeah.
his phone headset every night and then opens it up the next day so he can plug it in.
Like yeah, he's the kind of person who would do that.
Yeah.
And like he's with like trusted coworkers, but maybe he does it because of Jim though too.
Yeah, it's mostly because of Jim,
That's
I think.
true. But that would just make Jim want to mess with it more though.
Yeah.
If he did something
Yeah.
to like show that he cared about it.
Yeah, and just like when Michael's introducing Ryan to Dwight, it's like Dwight clearly like has less social cues than Michael, because like even Michael knows like I should introduce myself to these people,
Right.
and just like, you know, Dwight fixing his glasses while Ryan comes up and him staying seated in
Yeah.
his seat, and then like Michael has to tell him like shake his hand like.
I always feel like with Dwight though, like he knows.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he knows the social cues, but he's like, I do not want to show that I respect this person.
Yeah,
Because
that's also
I
true.
am like the most powerful person
Yeah.
in this room. And I don't want anyone else to
It's
think
true.
that they have more power than me.
Yeah, but it's also like, I don't know. It's weird because he has the social cues, but he also doesn't at the same time, because he's raised in this like completely
That's
wacko
true.
family where he doesn't have like any idea of how like actual like courtship works or
Yeah.
like
Or
office.
manners. Like he has no sense of manners.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, because you think of like later things, how he just like he's so blunt with how he says everything,
Mm-hmm.
except when it comes to like people he wants respect from, because then he like
That's true.
sneaks his way around
Yeah.
like gaining their trust.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, especially like when he's trying to like date other people, like especially like Isabella, I feel like is a good. I'm jumping like way ahead.
Yeah.
But you know, just like the fact that he just like is like, oh, you're, or I guess especially to like the the documentary film cast or crew, it's just like he's like, oh, Isabella would be a more perfect fit for me because she is taller and has a longer lifespan, and it's just like super blunt with all of these things. But it's just interesting to like see, because like I don't know, you could gain two things from watching the first pilot. I feel like when you're first watching it and you have no idea who these characters are, it's like you really understand that Dwight just like doesn't have respect for anyone except for Michael. And, you know, obviously he has some kind of, he looks the part of being raised from a wacko family. So you're like, okay, he's definitely like not the kind of person that you'd want to do business with. Yet he's the best salesman there.
Do we know if he's been homeschooled? Like, he was for sure homeschooled, right?
I mean, he never mentions like an actual school that he's gone to.
I'm surprised like that wasn't more like something revealed about him later.
That is, because like even we know that like, you know, Jim went to, well, like, you know, he did because the later episode when he's running away from his old friend because
like
of the reading
school,
group. Like, you know that like other people have gone to like public schooling. Right. But I don't think it's ever mentioned that Dwight does.
He just feels like a homeschool kid. Like him and Mose.
Yeah.
Just like learning math. They're like repeating math equations or something.
I mean, it feels so like perfect for them because, I don't know, their family has like very specific teaching methods and they don't want the public school to like taint their...
They would not leave that up to someone else.
They're like, we're gonna teach you and no one else. In fact, you're gonna teach yourself.
Right. That's totally how it would be. They like lock them in the barn with like a book and they're like, you can't come out until you've learned something. That's totally how their education works. And I also noticed like Dwight, he, like one of the first interactions between him and Jim is when he like taps Jim on the shoulder. And he like tricks him. And it's like, you don't see that really in any later episodes. Not too often where Dwight is pranking Jim. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to see that. Be like, oh, so at least in this episode, Dwight like wanted to get back at Jim a little bit.
I think it like perfectly sets up their I don't know, their like character, how they deal with stuff is just because like, you know, obviously Dwight is the one that irritates Jim, so that's why he pranks him all the time. Because if he didn't, then Jim wouldn't really prank him. He'd probably prank Michael. Like, I feel like that'd be his next target. But I mean, you know it is because he ends up pranking him at the end of the pilot episode. But, you know, like obviously Dwight irritates Jim, and so that later sets up like obviously the Jello and just like the pencils in his desk. And that's like also another telling thing about Dwight is just like, you know, throughout the entire episode, Jim's just trying to like get through his sluggish day and using his ruler to like establish their
his dominance. Like, this is my zone. You cannot cross it.
And just like especially just like when Jim is setting up the pencils and he's just like, this is like, I could fall on this. I could pierce an organ. And Jim's just like, yep, I hope so. I think it just like perfectly sets up like exactly their relationship, because you have like the first thing you see is Dwight antagonizing Jim, and then like it just proceeds from there where Dwight just keeps like poking at Jim when he's just trying to like get through this job that he doesn't really like. And then, you know, obviously Jim retaliates with pranks.
It probably helps Jim's day go by faster.
I'm sure it does.
Like that's gotta be his main motivation. And like to make Pam laugh too. Like those are probably his two main motivators for pranking Dwight. And
just like staying there in the first place, because like you often like, especially when Jim is first describing like what his day at work is like, it's just like, you hate your job, like why are you staying here? And then like as you're watching it, you understand, especially like they really like show Jim and Pam's relationship from the beginning. Like that, I feel like that's like they establish Michael's character and they establish Jim and Pam's.
Like, this is clearly going to be a love interest.
Like these are the two things that like they knew they wanted to focus on from the beginning, and so they like immediately start out with those two, and they're essentially the strongest things that carry out the seasons.
That's true. Like they play for like that whole plot plays for. I mean, Jim and Pam throughout the whole show. For like many seasons, those have a lot of implications.
But yeah, I just like the relationship between Jim and Pam is just like, obviously, like he talks about like the mixed berry being her favorite flavor and just like how he's so set on like knowing everything about her. And then especially like, so, you know, I'm trying to think of this as like if you were watching this for the first time and just like the perspective of like, oh, you know, Jim and Pam seem like they like each other, and you know, she doesn't really comment on Roy until he enters the scene, which says a lot. And then like she talks about, you know, obviously their engagement being played out for a really long time, and then especially when Pam leaves and Jim and Roy are just sat at the the receptionist table.
That's another thing that's telling is when Roy walks in, Jim like backs up.
Yeah,
because he's like, I know I'm flirting with your fiance.
Yeah,
like he knows. And it's like really uncomfortable.
Yeah. I have to wonder what was in that bag that Roy was holding.
Oh yeah,
because Jim is like, what's in the bag? And then Roy leaves. I want to know.
Something, man. Whatever Roy's doing.
What is Roy doing?
I don't know. Are they playing basketball? They have a basketball hoop down there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Basketball clothes.
I don't know. It seemed like really bulky and like sharp.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
You just think of like the dark possibilities that spring from The Office, and you wonder.
Yeah. Who knows, man?
Yeah. I think Roy has a serious,
dark secret.
Yeah, dark secret.
Maybe that's why he's been putting off their engagement for so long.
He's waiting.
He can just never commit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he can commit something.
Oh man.
Also, I didn't know this was like a shot-for-shot remake, pretty much, of the UK version.
Yeah, I've never watched the UK version of The Office.
I think I started that, but I did it after I'd already watched the US version, and it's just so weird.
Yeah.
And I already, like, Ricky Gervais, no question, he's got a really, like, genius mind for comedy, but like his acting, for some reason, I don't know, it's just kind of off-putting to me. But I don't know. But it's interesting that it really is like a shot for shot. There was a few subtle things they changed. Yeah. Like that scene with Dwight and like the pencils. Apparently before, like in the UK one, it was like boxes, like paper boxes. Oh. They like built a wall. I thought that was kind of funny.
Okay.
But
yeah, I always feel bad never watching the UK version.
Yeah.
But I don't have a reason to, because I've watched the US version, and I don't know. It's just I know the UK version came first, but if I watched that one now, I'd be like, this is just a different version of The Office, which I don't, I don't get it.
Yeah, maybe at some point we should, because I mean, that's what started it all.
Yeah, it's true.
But
I don't know. Like, I didn't, Steve Carell not watch the other version because he didn't want to be influenced by Ricky Gervais's
he started watching it and he was like, okay, I need to stop because I'm just going to emulate Ricky Gervais in this.
Yeah, I know. Like, I wonder if like any of the other cast watched the other version.
That's a good question. I don't know.
I wonder if they pulled anything from that, or if they just like, if everyone tried to stay away from it.
I would imagine. Well, like, we know John Krasinski, because weren't you the one who told me that story about how he, at his audition, like he was talking to someone.
Yeah. And
like that's how and it was Greg Daniels, because he was like, I don't know if like we can pull this off because
Americans do everything worse. Yeah.
So he must have watched it, because he said he was a big fan.
Yeah.
So
probably like some of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'd be interesting to know like which ones actually watched it, and to know if that like influenced their characters, at least from the beginning.
Yeah. I would imagine. I mean, if I had a role in The Office and I knew that there was like another show already made about it, I feel like that's definitely something I would do.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I want to talk about Kevin.
Yes.
Because obviously he isn't shown a lot in this episode, but it's so clear in the beginning how not dumb he is.
I know. What happens to his character?
I don't know, because like, it's so weird because I obviously love Kevin, but it's such like a stereotype. And And it's, I don't know, like, obviously he didn't really care, but I don't know. I feel like if I was him, I'd hate to be, like, set as, like, the dumb fat guy.
Right.
Because that's just been played out so many times,
Yeah.
and it's like, he's an accountant. Like, it'd be cool if they had, like, Kevin be at least, like, you know, he has, like, his Kevin side.
Right.
Because, like, obviously that's still, like, played out in the beginning. Because he, you know, he's obsessed with, like, sex and stuff. But, like, he's not stupid.
Yeah, he still is competent. Like,
Yeah.
I think he does. I bet he has, like, some weird, like, Rain Man abilities, you know?
Yeah.
Like, where he's just, like, really good with numbers or something. Because, like, we also learned later that he was, like, really good at poker.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's just kind of weird how they sort of just, like, degraded his character over time. To be like, okay, we're just going to make you into this now.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. That's it. Maybe the more we watch, we can kind of figure out what happens with him.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a shame in some ways.
Uh-huh.
Because he has a lot of potential, I feel like, as a character.
Yeah. Because, like, he has some, like, funny moments, but those are just, like, hey, I'm a funny fat guy moments.
Right.
And they're not, like, I don't know. Like, obviously there's, like, the famous, like, Kool-Aid Man face. But, like, I don't know. There's just not a whole lot to his character until, like, I don't know. I'd say, like, the finale of the whole show.
Yeah, like, not until, like, season 9 is really, like, we see more of his character. But even then, like, he's still sort of his reduced version of Kevin. But I guess in the pilot, though, there's not really many hints of, like, you know, him being, like, really stupid or anything.
Yeah.
He just kind of seems like a normal guy.
We'll talk
like,
about
really
that in the next episode. Because he's a bit more focused on it in Diversity Day.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I don't know. I just, like, even just, like, the small moments of Kevin that you just see him throughout. Like, because you only really see him with, like, the pretzel. But I feel like it's not even established then that, like, he's gonna be a dumb guy.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, obviously he likes food. But it's, like, it's not, I don't know. It's not as, like, he doesn't seem like he's gonna be stupid, but he ends up being that
which
way.
is weird because they give him, like, a lot of attributes along the way to suggest that he's, like, a deeper character.
Yeah.
Like, he plays the drums and he sings and he's really good at poker.
And cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's weird how they kind of decided to make him less of a character.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, like, there's other people who could play into that trope in the office as well, which would be, like, Phyllis and Stanley. And they don't have those, like, attributes.
Right.
Because, like, Phyllis is, like, the nice mom, and then Stanley's, like, the sassy black guy.
Yeah.
But it's, like, you know, I don't know. It's just, it's a shame because you have someone where you show, like, you could argue that Dwight is kind of, like, I don't know, stupid as well.
Yeah.
Just because he's, like, obviously he has a lot of intellect to him because he's very good at sales and just, like, all the...
And, like, I feel like book smart, too.
Yeah,
like,
he's
he has,
very
like,
book smart.
Like, he has, like, a lot of facts.
Yeah. But, I don't know, like, in, like, social situations, he's kind of an idiot. And so, but, like, his character is played out really well because they, like, match those two to make a full rounded character. And I know that Kevin isn't, like, the star of the show.
Right,
but everyone really has, like, something to them. And obviously so does Kevin, but not in the same way that everyone else does because he doesn't, like, they don't really show, like, much of his life.
Yeah.
And they even do that with, like, Oscar at
we
points.
learn more about his...
Especially in, like, the later seasons. But, like, the only one that you don't really see lifestyle is, like, Creed.
That's
but
true.
Like, that's the whole point of his character.
Because he's, like, Kevin's, like, more of, like, a B character, but Creed is, like, a C character.
Yeah. But, I don't know. There's so much lost with Kevin, and it upsets me sometimes.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame. We'll definitely talk about that more.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know. I feel like we should have, like, an ongoing thing throughout our podcast that, like, check in time with Kevin, like, how's his mental state.
Maybe there was an accident. Would consider this?
Huh?
I doubt it, but I don't know. I'm just throwing theories.
Yeah.
Maybe you got in a bad car accident.
Maybe. I don't know. Because I don't know. I'm jumping around things, but it's just like you have Stacy,
right,
who was mentioned. We saw her. Did we see her? I don't think we saw her.
His fiance, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever do see her.
Yeah, but she's mentioned, and then they break up, and I wonder if that might be the point where he. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out when we watch
Probably
it.
when we analyze it more, we'll kind of see how his character.
Yeah, because that's the only like traumatic thing that I can think of that happened to him.
That's true.
But that like is mentioned. I don't know, because it feels for all these writers that like smartly introduce their characters from the beginning. It's you wonder like what happened exactly to make that choice to be like we're just gonna have Kevin be like the funny man,
right? Yeah.
who doesn't really have a lot of development. Yeah.
And that would be such a good resource because, like in later seasons, they kind of like the main characters kind of get boring a little bit, so they just feel like they need to introduce more things. But would have been more interesting if they would have turned to maybe characters we don't know as much. And just really be like, okay, let's get to know Kevin, like for reals. Yeah. And that would have been exciting to me.
Yeah, that would have been so much better than introducing like these people that are gone in a season.
Yeah.
Because these people have been with us forever, and it's like I want to know what they do exactly.
Totally.
Because we know what the main characters do now. We know exactly like how they think and what they want, and we don't need to establish their like wants and needs anymore. Like, I don't know what Kevin wants. Yeah. Or, like, what he needs to learn. Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, the only thing we learn is when Aaron joins, and then Michael talks about Kevin, how he signed up to be in the warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then Michael decided that he was going to be an accountant. And that's all we learn about, like, I don't know. It'd be interesting to, like, just know more. Like, obviously we wouldn't go back in time and like find out how he started, but I don't know, at least like allude to the fact.
I don't know, man. Maybe they would have. We were talking about time travel as a plot device, so they could have gone back to that day when Kevin had his interview and he ends up in the warehouse instead. He has like a totally different.
It's like one of those like offhand episodes where they just like they just have that for like an episode and then they never like talk about it again. So where it's just like a nightmare that Kevin has.
Oh my gosh, that should have happened. That's a shame, dude. That would have been so funny. Kevin's like buff. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Dang it.
Yeah.
That would have been so good.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. The other little things they introduce is like, I mean, it's just like a little jest, but like with Angela when Jim and Pam are talking, and
the cat
Pam's
party.
like, "Are you gonna go to Angela's cat party?"
Yes, which I never catch before until like I read more about like, the overview of the episode, and I was like, I never really noticed that they mentioned like Angela's cat party.
Yeah, and
that's great. Again, they're just sort of giving these clues about the characters.
Yeah,
which is so good.
Yeah, yeah, they're so good at doing that.
One thing I'm like, I don't know. Do you know if John Krasinski had acted much before this?
I don't think he really did. Because I think I read when I was looking up all those Office facts is that he was kind of giving up on acting.
Oh yeah, I think I've read this. It's like he hadn't had work in a while, and he was like that was going to be his last audition, or
something like that, where he just was giving up on like wanting to do it. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, like, because he's like, obviously after The Office, he's taken off with like his roles. Cause like you see, like, I'm gonna tap on the table real quick. But you just see like, he was it Jack Ryan? What was the recent thing he was in?
That sounds right, Jack Ryan. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah. Like he's buffed up so
totally.
much.
It's just so weird. It's so weird for me to see him in a serious role.
Yeah.
Like that's not like I'm not like trying to like bash on his abilities as an actor, but it's just weird when you see someone in a certain role for like years. Yeah. And it's sort of like a comedy light, and then to see him act in like just to be completely serious the whole time. It's like, wait a second, are you about to pull a prank?
I know, because like I think my first like I don't know, like A Quiet Place came out last year,
right?
And it's just like I don't know. I think like most people will always see him as Jim, and I think just the fact that he can do a serious role is like, you know, it's surprising because all we've seen him in is like, you know, more comedic role. But even in The Office, he does have like serious moments with Pam. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like, especially when I saw A Quiet Place, it was like, spoiler alert, but when he screams and then the monster kills him, it's just like, I don't know. I cried because I was like, that's Jim, and he's just looking out for his kids. He's such a dad. But I'm looking at his movies, and when did The Office come out? Like 2009? When was that?
I want to say it's a little earlier, maybe like 2005, 2006.
So, yeah, it wasn't...
aired in 2005.
Okay.
pilot.
So he was only in 2 other things before that.
Okay.
This random movie called Kinsey and another one called Taxi.
Okay.
And then he did a couple things throughout his Office years, obviously. Right. But yeah, he wasn't. It just looks like B-list movies that didn't take off because I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be discouraging to just like, I don't know, not like find anything, and then to have such an amazing role, just like,
it's a huge breakthrough.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I mean, for all of these people.
Yeah, everyone.
Because like I'd say, obviously Steve Carell was more of a character back then when he started, but he still like didn't have a whole lot going for him.
Because he was working on like The Daily Show, right? I think with Jon Stewart.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure. Like him and Stephen Colbert, I feel like were like writing for that show.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's also funny in like the first season. It's just like how Steve Carell is built. Just like he's not. He's so much slimmer in the later seasons.
The pilot is for sure. Like, he's a little more pudgy, and I feel like they like really modeled him after Ricky Gervais' character because he had like slick back hair.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like it just
his look is so weird in the first like few episodes,
and his hair's like so greasy.
Yeah, it's so really greasy. Bad. It's really gross because it adds to his like sleazeball character. But I don't know. Again, that's like not what I feel like they really like started, as you said, like modeling him like as Ricky Gervais, but like in the later ones they like modeled him after Michael because it's like,
and also Steve Carell too. They're like okay, they like kind of recognize like okay, Steve Carell is like a package. Yeah, and we can like rely on him. Yeah,
you don't have to rely on someone else for Steve Carell. But yeah, just like I don't know, because Michael obviously his personality traits are a little so-so, but I think the fact that like he dresses like super cleanly and like you know tries to be such a smart guy, it like you know he looks like he's a businessman but on the inside he isn't. Which I think is more so his character when they start really honing that in the later seasons. But
that's true, like in the because he has like his sleeves rolled up and he's not wearing a jacket, but then later he kind of like establishes his like wardrobe and like he does look a lot more clean and neat. But I think it's really fitting because it's kind of like a juxtaposition because there's like this outside version but he really is on the inside. It's kind of funny.
Because I don't know, I think that's just kind of like, do you even like look back on like the pilot episode when like Ryan's first introduced and like you know Michael is meeting this fresh face that's new in the office and you know he's like his first thing is just like, oh hey, welcome, and then he's like oh wait, what's your last name, and then he's like, is that like the Three Stooges, and like so immediately he's like hit into this like Ryan's just introduced to this like who is this guy? Because he's just being really weird. I don't know if he's just like pretending or if he's actually like this.
That'd be so strange. Your first day at work.
Yeah, he like the first thing he does is talk about Three Stooges and then does a Hitler impression.
It's like, okay, what am I in store for? Like, I would have seriously considered recalling the temp agency.
I mean, it is funny because like just imagine like going in on your first day as a temp and then they're already talking about downsizing and you're like, okay.
Like,
why did I get sent here? Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I just love the like, because it's odd because Ryan's like so in the background. Like he's not invited into the like meetings because like he's like sitting outside when they're all talking inside and he's talking on the phone to like the temp agency or something and he's like, they're talking about downsizing. I don't know, it's my first day.
Yeah. And
it's just like he's just like not even, I don't know if he doesn't want to be there or like, I don't know. I feel like Michael would like ask him to be in because he loves his like meetings, but I don't know. It's so odd to just like see him like on the outside. But I feel like it also is like telling to his character, which is basically this entire episode. It's just showing what these characters are like. It's just like Ryan's a complete outsider to this whole thing, and he is throughout pretty much the whole show, where he just like, I don't know, he tries to dissociate from everything that's going on around him.
Which I wonder what like got him up to that point. It's just kind of interesting to think about, like, where was Ryan like 2 weeks before this, you know?
Where were you? Yeah.
Michael was dreaming about him. I just really want just someone to come into my life that
I want a hot slice. A new hot slice to come to the office. I mean, Pam's taken. There's no one else.
Jim's too tall for me.
It's true.
Yeah, 'cause that's totally what he thinks about when he's going to bed, you know? You just see him like laying in bed, just like thinking about that.
Just like, who do I want to sleep with and who do I want to be best friends with?
Yes.
Those are like his two main priorities.
Oh. Well, let's see. A couple fun facts that I found out.
Yeah, hit me with some smoking facts.
When Jim and Dwight are having like their little battle and Dwight's setting up Jim's setting up the pencils. Jim has a little label printed "shut up" on his tie. Like, it's just like a little on his tie. So that's just a fun fact. That was on his tie. Kind of interesting. If you were wondering what Stanley was holding in the meeting, what drink it was, because at first I thought it was like rum, and I was like, why does he have like a huge bottle of whiskey? But it's Pedialyte, so. Oh. Yeah.
Also, I want to talk about like how Stanley looks in the first like season, because he's so like fit, you know? Like he's still like a little overweight, but he's like, you know, he's standing in the conference room.
Not stand.
Yeah, no.
That's so not his character.
I know. It's just so weird to like see him standing in the conference room because you're just like, okay, you never get up to do anything.
But he soon replaced his Pedialyte with a crossword puzzle book.
As he should.
And he soon began sitting down.
Yeah.
Those are my main fun facts. I think. I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah.
Also, just one line I really liked is when Michael's like giving out his list of like his favorite people, and like the fourth one is God.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I know, I commented on that too.
Like, probably God would be fourth.
Yeah. There's some people that just. And it's also like a weird like God complex that he has because he's like kind of comparing himself to that as well.
Yeah. Where
he's just like, I don't know, he just sees himself as like this all powerful being. And just, I don't know.
Oh man.
Just taking credit for other people's work.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all he does.
It's true. I don't know. I felt like my favorite scene for this episode is when Michael's meeting with Jan in the office, and like that's also our first introduction to Jan.
Yeah. And
like his dynamic with her, where he wants to be like really liked by her, but it's just not working out for him. And Jan is like, oh my gosh, this guy.
Yeah. I hate to just like talk about the funny jokes in it, but I also like that he's like, I call her Hillary Rodham Clinton behind her back. I don't say it to her face, not because I'm scared of her.
Right.
But like, I don't know. Again, it's just like that also like sets up the dynamic between them. It's just like he's like, I'm not scared of her. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But like, you know, she's such like a you already like know just from her aura that she's like very like, you know, she's gonna mess some things up when she wants to. But it's also like interesting because like, I don't know, you always like, obviously this isn't exactly set in reality, but just like, it's so odd that like she's talking about downsizing and then Todd Packer calls right. And then she's hit with like this just like horrible like like just so unprofessional response to everything. And she doesn't like really reprimand it.
That's true.
Yeah,
that does seem like something she would do.
I know. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just so interesting that because I don't know, obviously like they can't get downsized for the fact that the show has to exist,
right? But
just like, I don't know, it's just odd that Jan wouldn't like really even comment on it at all. That's true. Like she has like a look to her, but it's just like, you know, Todd Packer is so unprofessional, and you just like constantly wonder, because it's not like he hides the fact that he's unprofessional. Yeah. You just wonder like, how he's still working there.
Like, even if he knew that Jan was on that call, he still would have said the same thing.
I know.
Like, nothing would have changed.
Yeah. Because, like, sometimes he does, like, try to act more professional to people, but I don't know. He seems, like, so sure of his job there that he's never going to get fired, that he's just like, I can say whatever I want. Right. It might just be like, I've worked here for so long.
That might be part of it. And I wonder, he's probably good at his job because he does like traveling sales. Yeah. I bet he's pretty good at like talking people into buying paper.
Oh yeah, he seems like a car salesman.
Yeah. So I wonder if that fact alone keeps him around. So like,
like he brings in the numbers.
But like, he's really saving our backs right now.
Yeah.
That's probably, and I just like, kind of makes me shiver to think how much that's happening in the actual workplace.
I know.
And there's people who act like that, but they're just kept around because of their performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel that like that happens too often. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Not to like get all preachy about it, but like definitely like with the film industry, it's just like, I mean, you're good at directing, so right. We're just not gonna we'll just let it seep out when it does, and then
yeah, definitely true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. You wonder, like, you just always wonder how this company is still, like, working.
Yeah. And it kind of makes sense also why, like, they're struggling at the same time. Because it's like, okay, maybe look a little closer at personnel.
Yeah. But I know. And just, like, also the comments with the Stanford branch, it's just, like, I don't know. You're already like talked about how there's other branches, so you already know that that's like, you know, they're trying to compete with just surviving with the other part of their company.
Right.
And then I don't know, just like I find it funny just with like how they later talk about Josh, and you get to know Josh a lot more, but just like how the contradiction between how Josh handles things and how Michael handles things.
Yeah.
Because like Josh still has a temper to him, and he like freaks out when he wants to, but like, you know, he does that with a reason too. Yeah. And meanwhile, Michael's just like, me no get an agenda, and I don't like the sound of downsizing. That spooks me. No, thank you. Just like the mention of words, like he doesn't even hide his emotions.
Yeah, I also love like it takes such a short amount of time for him to turn around and tell everyone else in the office that downsizing is happening. Like, Jan is like so clear. She's like, this stays in this room. Yeah. And Michael's like, so downsizing.
Yeah, we're gonna call in a meeting. Yeah, just like the hard cut to the next clip of just like, did you hear there's gonna be downsizing? So what does downsizing mean? Right. I don't know. There's also like a tiny part of Angela's character. It's just like when they're talking about downsizing, it's just like her being, it's definitely going to be me. Like, I wonder where that comes from of her, like, I don't know. Because I feel like she has a lot of confidence on the outside, but not on the inside. Mm-hmm. But it feels, I don't know. Like, obviously her character isn't super established in the beginning, but just like, it's weird to see her like so, I don't know, just like scared.
That's true.
On the
She's
outside.
really insecure about that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely like some kind of childhood.
Yeah.
Something with her parents. Like she felt like she was never good enough or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, she alludes to the fact, like, later in seasons how she, like, hasn't talked to her sister in a long time.
That's true.
Like, it seems like there was just a lot of arguing around her family.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just so, like, odd to see her just be like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be going. Because she's so sure of, like, the one thing I feel like she is sure of is just her job and how well she is at doing all of these things. And then the fact that Kevin, like, furthers her idea that, like, yeah, it's going to be you. Like,
I love that interaction too.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just like, and it's kind of fun. Like, I read that accounting department, like, before they started shooting, they just, like, did 30 minutes of, like, pretending to work in the office to, like, get that sort of office vibe. And apparently those three just kind of struck up a nice relationship.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, all the little desk clumps just, like, got to know each other really well.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, I read about all the little facts of how they just, like, they would actually do work in the office while other scenes were going on, just to, like, get the feel that they were actually, like, in an office space.
Like there was stuff going on.
Yeah. And, like, in the beginning, they didn't even have internet, but then they later did.
Yeah.
So they could actually, like, do stuff and, like, have little chat logs with each other while they were doing things. But, I don't know. Just, like, the amount of, like, attention to detail in, like, a show that they didn't even know was going to take off is just so surprising. Because, obviously, like, when you're trying to do a film thing, you want to put a lot of work into how everything goes. But it's, like, especially with a pilot episode, it's just like
but I guess it makes sense though, because you want to, like, put forth as much effort as possible. Like, look, we can do this and we can do this right. So that might have, like, just that little bit, I feel like it might have given them the edge with NBC. Where
I'm sure,
you know what, I think you guys can handle this, so let's give you a few more episodes. See how it goes.
I know, because I feel like if they just, like, didn't play up the attention to detail as much, they wouldn't have gotten like any further with that show. And
what's cool about that is they actually, like, went and researched office environments.
Oh, really?
Did you know this? Yeah.
No.
Like, there's this interview with Greg Daniels, and like, he did this for other shows. Like, he was on King of the Hill, like, he co-created that. And so for that, like, the write, like, little notebooks, and they went to Texas and just, like, tried to learn about the environment and, like, how people interact. And so he had his writing team do the same thing for The Office. So they went to, like, workspaces and took notes. Like, so it's amazing that they went through that much. They're like, we're gonna be reporters and just, like, show.
Yeah, I wonder, like, what those, like, notes.
I know,
looked
it'd be
like.
so cool to see.
Yeah.
What were the things they picked up on? I bet there's a lot of stuff that we may not even recognize, but that just somehow makes it an office.
Yeah,
it's just kind of cool.
Yeah, because, like, I don't know. Obviously, a lot of people don't see this as real, but like, a small chunk of people must have first started watching this before that, because, like, a lot of the actors weren't known, so you know, to, like, see them, you're just like, oh, it's just another thing. So I wonder, like, what percentage of people at first thought that this was, like, a real documentary.
I bet there was a few. Sure.
Because they make it feel so real that it's hard to differentiate between, like, what is actually, like, you know, what's actually going on and what's just, like, being brought to fiction, you know? But I don't know. It's interesting to see just, like, the lengths that they went to try and make this feel just, like, as raw as possible. Just, like, especially with, like, the handheld cameras, and just, like, especially, like, when Michael's first talking to Pam, and just, like, when he's talking about, you should have seen her a couple years ago, and the camera just, like, whips over, and then, like, the slow, like, old school zoom into her face, and then it, like, slightly unfocuses and then focuses onto her face, where it's just, like, it feels so, like, you know, not unprofessional, but just, like, this just feels like a small film crew went in, which is true, and they just, like, went into an office space and just, like, had this really weird boss, and they're like,
let's film here.
But yeah, it's interesting to see.
That's very cool. Man, well, should we wrap this episode up?
Yeah, But yeah. So if anyone's listening to this,
Yeah.
thanks for listening to our first episode of talking about the pilot of the episode of The Office. So yeah, to establish exactly what we're going to be doing, we're going to talk about each episode of The Office for an episode of the podcast. So I don't know, if you want to watch the episode right before you watch this one, you can do that, or afterwards, or I don't know, you can do a little marathon with us.
Yeah.
This will probably last us a long time.
I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of episodes of The Office.
So stick around.
Yeah. Probably the only one we'll skip is the one where they recap with Toby.
Yes.
Because there's no reason to talk about that.
It's a garbage episode.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for listening to this, our little party planning committee podcast. Do we want to put the committee in there?
Sure. Why
Yeah.
not?
Party planning committee podcast. And yeah, we'll see you for the next episode when we talk about Diversity Day.
And we'll see you.